Right now, we will have a look at how we can create light cues. We have seen earlier how to define the DMX parameters of our fixtures. This time, we will have a look at how we can quickly turn on or off certain fixtures and choose the correct dim level to create the right atmosphere of the time of the day. So let's select Edit Cue and click on Cue 1. On the left side, we see a column containing 6 step buttons. Each cue can contain up to 6 steps. A step defines position and light status of our intelligent fixtures and also defines dim level status of our conventional fixtures. Using the fixture 1 to fixture 16 buttons at the bottom of the menu, we simply define which fixtures should be affected by the selected step. Each step can affect a different selection of fixtures if desired. The step time scroll bar defines the duration of the selected step in seconds. Each step can have a different step time. Below the step time bar is a fade button. When fade is set to off, the next step will be applied immediately as soon as the step time of the actual step is expired. When fade is set to on, a smooth transition from the actual step till the next step will be made, gradually moving fixtures to the next step's position or fading to the next step's dim value. The fade time in seconds, taken to go from the actual step to the next step, can be defined using the fade time scroll bar on the right side of the step time bar. The top of the window indicates that we are working in the sequence tab of the Edit Cue menu. In the sequence tab, we select a step, then in one of the next tabs, we set the value of the parameters of our fixtures only for the actual selected step. So if we define 6 steps in this queue, we'll have to select each of the 6 steps in the sequence tab and then go to the other tabs to change their parameters. Swiping from right to left or clicking on the top right corner brings us to the movement page. Here we can set the pen and tilt positions for each step. One further tab allows us to define the colors. The next tab gives us control over the gobo properties. The effect tab lets us control the iris, prism, focus and shutter. The dimmer tab is used to define the intensity levels of the conventional fixtures which are included in this tab. In the special tab, any of 4 special functions, which are defined in any of the intelligent fixtures properties menus, can be given a value per step. As said before, for each step to be defined, we have to go through the mentioned tabs and define the parameters. When all the steps have been defined, we can go back to the sequence tab and hit the run button to play the cue by going through all the steps one after the other, starting with the first and taking into account the defined step times and fade times. If the result is to our liking, we can choose an appropriate name for the cue and decide if the cue will operate in toggle or flash mode. Toggle or flash simply define how the cue buttons will react. In toggle mode, hitting a cue button will make it active and it will remain active until the cue button is hit again. This is called latching mode. Hit the cue button once means turn it on, hit the cue button again means turn it off. In flash mode, the cue will be played only as long as the cue button is pressed. This is called momentary mode. So cue button pressed means that the cue starts to play and go through its steps as long as the cue button remains pressed. Cue button released means the cue becomes inactive instantly. Cues can be grouped by assigning them to any of 8 available cue groups. Only 1 cue per group can be active at any given time. So if you want to activate 2 cues at the same time, those cues will need to be assigned to 2 different cue groups. As an example, we can assign cues 1 to 3 to cue group 1 and assign cues 4 to 6 to cue group 2. Now Q1 and Q4 can be active at the same time. This could, for example, be useful if Q1 to 3 are used to define the conventional fixtures and Q4 to 6 are used to define the intelligent fixtures. If any of the queues in a queue group are set to flash mode, the previous queue in the same queue group will be made active when the button of the queue in flash mode is not pressed. So we can have our conventional fixtures on at an intensity level of 30% in Q2, which is in toggle mode. Flashing Q3 temporarily brings the intensity levels up to 100%. As soon as the Q3 button is released again, Q2 becomes active again and the intensity levels fall back to 30%. When all queue parameters are defined and thoroughly tested, we can hit the Save button, return to the Edit Queue menu and start working on the next queue.